Hey everyone, it's Jeannie here. Today I'm so glad to be joined by this incredible woman of God. I'd say this first. I'll start with you, Shari. Actress, filmmaker, director, author, founder of the Women in My World. I'm honored to be one of those women in your world. Shari Rigby's in the house, but I'm also joined by the incredible actress, another sister of mine, the beloved actress in The Chosen, Lara Silva.
Oh, thank you, Jeannie.
I feel like I'm amongst family, and that's so beautiful for me. Sometimes you gotta be all proper, but I feel like y'all get me, and I love that. But we're here to talk about Divine Influencer, and I'm so excited just reading through what the film's about. And I want to hear, though, first, I'll start here, Shari, with you, the heart. Like, where did this film come from?
Well, first of all, it's so good to be here. I'm so happy to be sitting across from you. So, this was truly one of those stories that we started to write about back in 2015 and 2016, somewhere in there. We had actually just left the Dream Center in Los Angeles, and a couple of the writing partners were talking about homelessness and just the work that we were seeing done there. And so, it's something that doesn't discriminate, right? Like anybody can end up in these situations. And so as this movie was being birthed and written, we started to see the shift in the way that the script was being written, though, so that we could really tackle culture. And we could do it from a perspective where it was about a young influencer who ends up going from riches to rags and ends up being cut off from her parents at 29. And she ends up in a homeless shelter discovering what true influence is all about. And so as we started to really work through this, the script and just the story in general, we started to realize that, one, for such a time as this, and two, this is something that we should be tackling more often so we can actually talk about how as Christians we can actually influence the culture for Christ.
Yeah.
So it's an important topic.
I love it. It's so interesting, really. And like you said, especially in the entertainment industry, we know we're just one job away, sometimes. And so it's really important. Lara, I had talked to you recently, and you said something to me. You said that this film challenged you. It kind of took you out of, being in The Chosen, or, that kind of view maybe of what we kind of see in you. Talk about that, just kind of the taking on this role.
Well, it's been incredible. I think that it was something that God knew I needed because, as you know, it's, when with filming The Chosen, it is totally different than Divine Influencer. But I needed this story more than I realized. I just learned so much about my own faith and who I am and what serving really means. And it's just been so fun. The movie, there's moments that we laugh, we cry, we're dancing. It was just such a joy, and we filmed it in just 3 weeks. And we became family like that. And it was amazing. All the fabulous outfits and hair and makeup. Our team did an amazing job.
Wow. Shari, that must be something to hear. She's on The Chosen all the time. She's on the set of The Chosen all the time and says that the film that you wrote helped her faith. Like, come on, like The Chosen is the Bible, Right. Yeah. But that's what you do, and just with all the creative things that you put into the world, you are intentional about actually cultivating us all, the women in your world, to get closer to Jesus. What a compliment that was. I just wanted to say that.
I love that. Thank you for saying that, Jeannie, because I think that's really what this was about. And it's my heart to see women grow, and through these movies, if we're actually really creating content that matters, then they should influence us in a way that really speak to who we are. They're ministry based more than I think anything else. So it's exciting to see.
Beautiful. Yeah. And that's why God will breathe on it.
Oh, for sure.
I love that. So I love that the divine influencer, we think about influence, right? And there's tons of influence in the world. Some of it is for good, some of it is not for good. I like that the story is divine influence. So the girl, the rich young or lady, she didn't think that she would be able to be an influence, but God divinely ordered her steps. Can you guys share a moment where you saw God's sovereign hand on your life, and maybe you were trying to do your own thing or go your own way, but God kind of redirected your steps and it became that divine thing?
For me, it was just that moment that I decided that I'm going to go for this crazy career that I'm being called to. And for me, it's like before I even made the decision that this is my dream and this is what I want to do, like the devil was already attacking me, like telling me that it's too late to start. Like, you're never going to make it. What do you think you're doing? This is crazy. But God was so much louder and spoke so clearly over me that when I started seeking him was when I realized my passion and like just what I wanted to do birthed. And the more that I sought after him, the more that doors would open, some would close. But I realized that they were for a reason and he was protecting me. And I mean, just where I am now, it's mind-blowing. Just to be sitting here and talking about
Take that,
everything.
devil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably very similar to Lada's story is that, same thing for me. I remember making the decision to go to Hollywood, and everybody in my family thought I was absolutely crazy. And, going to Hollywood, I was 39, almost 40 years old at the time. And so everybody was like, you're never going to get a job. We have no idea what you're doing. Your marriage is going to fall apart. You're like, and I listened, and it was just so crazy. But what I remember was that God was just calling me to this moment. And so I just think that, it was being obedient in that, but it really was a divine appointment because his calling has birthed so many things. And I just, people always say, well, how do you approach things? And I said, so often I just have to approach him with my hands wide open and just to say yes and trust that God will inevitably create the best plan that I could have ever asked for. And so I think the same thing. I mean, I went after something that was so crazy, and here we are today that's so much bigger than even just acting I mean, it's so much bigger. And so yeah, that's probably the divine moment, and for me as well.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies. You're both such a testimony and it's inspiring just listening to your journeys and what God is doing when you allow him to, grab a hold of what you're doing. Thank you so much. Can't wait for the film.
Thank you. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm excited.
We're excited. Yes.
All right.
It's going to be great.